Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're viewing this from. Welcome to Live with Dan on this Friday. We have an exciting show coming up with Arundati from Generation One. And before we get to her, I want to just talk about X Day. So, X Day is our event that we have coming up next week, and it's a day-long conference on Thursday, and we're excited about that. I just wanted to mention it. I think tickets might be sold out. I'm not sure, but if it's still available, we'll put it in the show notes here. And it looks like we are still accepting registrants. So make sure you come. We have a great lineup of speakers and workshops for professional development, and then also just come and learn. So we can get you some free tickets there, and it's happening in Austin next week. So we're excited. And actually, the guest today, Erin Dottie, will actually be here in person. So let's bring her on here. She is from Generation One in Canada. Erin Dottie, welcome to the show.
Hi, Dan. Thank you. Great to be here.
Awesome. So are you looking forward to X Day next week?
Yes, it should be exciting. It looks like you have a very interesting range of speakers. So looking forward
Yeah,
to
yeah,
discussing trends and techniques.
exactly. Yeah, no, it should be a really fun time. So I know you pretty well from just industry events, and we've collaborated on some things in the past. But for those that don't know you, can you maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and then what you're involved in? You're involved in so much. I was looking at everything, and I know the Generation One stuff, and then you're also a professor and a slew of other things. So maybe spend a little bit of time and talk about what you're all into these days.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm the founder of generation1.ca. I always say to add the
Oh
dot
yeah.
.ca. So it's Canada, not California. So it's a
Mhm.
social enterprise media platform that and community that places North America's now, because increasingly you have to have a North American strategy, and I'm finding a lot of great support from all my North American friends and industry. And industry colleagues.
Yeah.
So it's this. It places newcomers to North America at the forefront of data and insights innovation globally, and um, that's the short. That's the short summary of what we do. But I mean, we've also observed other new trends and things like the legal cannabis sector, which has been pretty disruptive, and at
Hmm.
least it's been recent, and but also nonprofits, because these are tools that newcomers use to integrate into the workforce. And by integrate, I mean there's job opportunities, there are career opportunities, as well as there's career development opportunities about observing new things that are
Mm.
evolving, and even building an industry from scratch. So yes, aside from that, uh, and I've also been very much involved in the nonprofit association space, so that has helped
Yeah.
help newcomers integrate a lot and find that a powerful tool for them. So I mean, I've guest lectured in the past, but now I'm also a professor at Humber College, which is a post-secondary postgraduate institution, but it also has both undergraduate as well as postgraduate programs. It's exciting. It's busy. There's a teach range of courses there. Very excited to be there, and I also on some industry boards and committees, particularly. One is, vice chair of the Algonquin College Program Advisory Board, because I've always had this strong, close network with my academic partners,
Yeah.
and but one thing that's been, I guess, relatively newer has been, I guess, the past year has been also been serving on the certification advisory board of the International Association of Privacy Professionals. So,
Cool.
which is actually the world's largest community of and resource for information professionals, and yeah, and I mean, people can always connect with me on LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram, and Generation1.ca, of course, because I think
Hmm.
we managed to learn a lot and achieve a lot, and try to adapt as uh, as the needs of our audiences have evolved.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. And you sit in an interesting position because you're obviously a professor at Humber College, and then you have this virtual career fair that you run as well. So it's probably a good, I guess, mix or a good segue there between obviously people, when they graduate, they want to get a job, but I think it's larger than that. So tell us a little bit about the virtual career fair that you run, and then sort of what you're seeing in the market regarding job opportunities and so forth. I know there's a lot of people looking for jobs right now, and I think there's also a fair amount of jobs in there. So I'd be interesting to get your take on both those.
Yes, thank you. So you and I are just I just do in this estimated 372,000 or 371,000 global insights professionals that are practicing globally, and that are actively creating or contributing to this annual global turnover of 130 billion US dollars a year. So
Wow,
that
crazy, isn't it?
that's my data. Yes. So we're just and that means we are constituting just about 0.005% of the Earth's total population. So that makes us very
Hmm.
niche,
Yeah.
significant. So it I guess this points to how much more talent we're going to need to really meet the capacity and potential for of our future as or our future impact as a profession. And and thank you for bringing up the career fair, because I just had a very successful career fair, Generation One career fair in case competition, September 29th, of which we were also supporters and have been supporters, and we had about 14 employers, two association sponsors, and over 250 job seekers, and it was very well received. I mean, the opportunity to really uh, to hear from a panel, a morning panel, understand the evolving trends, need of the hour. Yes, people have been studying trends to understand what's necessary to succeed as an analyst or an analytics professional or as a data leader. But those focus sessions really helped, and then the one-on-one interviews with employers really helped them get close and understand across geographies, because a lot of the participants were from different regions of Canada, but also different regions of the US as well,
Mm.
including those in jobs, because they're also looking at what's the next big trend, what's the next big technique we should know more about.
Yeah.
But along with this, and we had a case competition component this time, which was very
Oh,
interesting.
wow.
It allowed students and graduates to really compete. But there were seven teams that started, but when it came down to pressure, I think finally five eventually showed up on the day and actually competed, and the pressure was intense, but they all performed, and people were very impressed. Employers were impressed, so much that even right now this morning, just before I got on this call, we had a follow-up interview between one of the employers and some of the case competition winners and some other job seekers. So it was really
That's
it's
amazing.
heartening to see that people really enjoyed that interaction. And
Yeah.
and I know there's this criticism or this anxiety about virtual events, going into a room, when you don't know people. But
Hmm.
we also do some in-person initiatives, like did have an in-person panel discussion back at my college institution. Usually have an academic sponsor. So did it at Humber College. We had food, we had drink, we had industry leaders, and we had attendees, and we had
Hmm.
something similar even at Algonquin College the fall before that. Um, so that's great. I mean, grateful for the academic sponsors that help here and really help create the success, but they see value in it, and I think
Yeah.
that's important for our professionals and for us. I mean, we're doing this knowledge mobilization, this kind of ideas exchange, and opportunities exchange. So I think both sides find it very valuable. It's a win-win. So
Yeah. Well, that's
so
great. So you're seeing there's a lot of opportunity still in the market, which is great. And I love the case study competition that you did, because it's a way I think that graduates or people that are looking for a job can show, like, hey, these are my skills, and then you can match people. So I think that's amazing. What are some of those skills for success that you're seeing that would lead people to benefit from data and insights or be successful in data and insights in that
yeah.
space?
So I guess I'd normally say effective communications, problem
Hmm.
scoping, and dealing with numeracy and large sets of quantitative data and quantitative research methods, because frankly, those are what the results showed from our Generation 1.ca global industry skills study, which is a study that's focused on understanding the top skills needed for success today. Uh,
Hmm.
the responses skewed North American, and I think there were some differences between North American markets and global markets in terms of at least uh, value of value of degrees, as well as value of training, and where most of the training in the North America is happening from the employer itself, whereas in other regions people are looking to external sources for training and ongoing development. But these are, I'd say, yes, the main skills that we found. But I learned a new word from some of my students who came from HR and management fields, and they call
Hmm.
they call this adaptive performance. And I think refers to this flexibility and this agility that we keep talking about in industry, and really the ability to learn and collaborate based and adjust what's needed to really grow your performance according to changing circumstances. Yes, the pandemic was proof of that, how people adapted, but I think one more thing is I mean, in siloed environments, like could be schools, could be colleges, could be corporate environments, more often than we more often than we want. But there's this skill of dealing with uncertainty, and this is something ambiguity and uncertainty. This is something that nobody's vocalizing this, but or the importance of this, but it's increasingly important. And if you're trying to help people, we're telling people that we need to prepare for uncertainty by being better context builders, understanding what our audience wants at every point of time, or be more data literate and exercise more empathetic skills. It points to how can you grow your relevance with the people you're serving, and whether that's your immediate team or whether that's the larger organizations out there. And yes, people are saying that maybe these are your soft skills, but I feel that saying isolating soft skills from the technical skills is not really a great practice, because we need to the World Economic Forum says that by 2025 we need to reskill. At least half of all workers need to reskill to adjust in this data-led world. So I think not separating the soft skills from the technical skills is really going to help, and being able to, if you don't have certain skills, being able to collaborate with those that have those other skills. And although analytical skills and creativity consistently do remain at the top. If you look at general skills trends, more global studies like the World Economic Forum, but I guess it points down to just really knowing what your personality is, what your human how do you exercise human influence by and your expertise by growing your knowledge and partnering with others. So I know that's a bit that can seem a little long-winded, but or sometimes people yes, it's long-winded and it can feel abstract. So what I do is, if someone really wants to know how to succeed in this industry, or how to enter or break in, I ask them that what are their dream roles, and they say, so I get responses like insights showman, chief data strategist, AI creator, data detective, cross-industry specialist, or chief analytics officer, or social impact analyst. These are kinds of responses I encounter every day. So then I ask them to work backwards from there and understand, what are the types of sectors that they've worked in, have expertise or interest or curiosity in, and then I always tell people that you have to find ways to add strategic value to any business or organization you're joining. So being aware of the types of people and the types of organizations that are there, and building on that networking skill, which is again another underemphasized skill, but it can help you deal with uncertainty, because you're building relationships in what is still a people-driven industry. And yes, so you're building new capabilities, new knowledge, and new friendships, and as a human being, that's all that will help you. I think so.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you mentioned, soft skills, and I think a lot of those really matter. And of course, depending on the role that you're in within the industry, you need the technical skills, depending on, that varies obviously depending on your job function and what sector you're in within market research. But the soft skills are important. I think you mentioned, the being able to operate in uncertainty. And I think that's probably more important than ever, especially with the pandemic, and then also with changing things. Like, if you can't do that, then I think no matter what industry you're in, you're probably going to maybe struggle a little bit, or you need to develop those skills. Because I think one thing that I've seen is, like, change is the only constant. It's not that, that is something that I've seen in the industry year after year, and you have to be able to adapt and sort of operate in that gray area of maybe not so absolute yes or no, but it's this kind of gray area where you got to kind of figure things out and operate in that uncertainty. So I think that's really interesting, and probably something that can benefit anyone, whether they're in like the research industry or other industries, right? So it's kind of interesting. And One thing you mentioned was, some of those recommendations that you had around networking and so forth. In terms of like, if someone is new to the industry and you mentioned that and you say, hey, what's your ideal job? And you work backward. What if they don't know they know they kind of want to be in the industry? What do you recommend in terms of like education or just learning more about it? What are some of those recommendations that you have there?
I think understanding yourself, self-awareness, strong self-awareness, and even if you don't have it, you can grow it by again meeting with more people and in the industry and
Hmm.
understanding more about where you could fit or where you could see yourself. I liked a quote about recently at the Congress where I think one of the keynote speakers was saying that uh, Earth observation is they went about trying to figure out something about the moon, but they figured out more about the Earth when they were studying, when they were going trying to study the moon. So I think that's an
Mm-hmm.
interesting approach when you can go and speak to others, and then you find out more about yourself and your goals and your dreams. So yes, it's what else can they do? They can look at look at trends, techniques, and technologies, if nothing, and then at least try and have an opinion about all these three and how they're shaping the world or shaping the future. So, I mean, yes, we know that after the pandemic, we had all this online reskilling, online education, course learning platforms really seeing almost a fourfold increase in people in people subscribing and people seeking out opportunities for themselves. So that's a global stat from the World Economic Forum. So I think yes, ongoing development and profession. Yes, you can go and invest in as much education as you want, or certifications
Hmm.
or exams, and they're good and they're helpful. But you need to know. You need to again know what the trends, techniques, and technologies are, and whether shape your own curiosity about that by the people you meet, by the business problems, the social problems um, that really inspire you or galvanize you or
Hmm.
catalyze you to better action. So maybe some people are interested, and a lot of people I see they're blocked by their fear of certain things, like even the fear of AI and its impact on jobs.
Yeah.
So so maybe they could take on AI literacy, and I think everyone is trying that.
Hmm.
Every individual, no matter what their level, like they're trying to grow their AI literacy. So because they're seeing useful applications of it both in from hiring and right up until exit. So um, I mean, but yet people are curious about it, but they're not so much. At least in America, from what I'm seeing, at least they're not so much concerned about its impact on it, but on them personally. It's more like the impact on the economy, the impact on the industry at large.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
it might it might get more personal. But during this career fair, we had this interesting experience of some of the employers utilizing AI based interviewing processes, and it was interesting to see how people responded to that. They were like, "Oh wow, some of like this is really shiny, new, and cool," but some of them were more skeptical, and it will come down to them being um, accepting of or not so accepting of a certain technology or a certain tool. So they will need to know what their values are, because that's going to really define what technologies and techniques they're going to value. And
Hmm.
I mean, I guess if you're going by frameworks and in technological acceptance, it's going to be about is something useful, is something beneficial, but and then you discount or discard the harms from the benefits. So I don't know. I mean, again, it depends on the values of the individual seeking opportunities. Uh,
Hmm.
I mean, some things uh, took like okay, even if you're saying now people because of globalization there's a lot more diversity, at least in Canada and even North America, there's a lot of diversity, a lot of movement of talent. So attitudes to AI will probably be differ because if you look at maybe global attitudes to AI, it's more the wealthier countries that are more cautious and
Hmm. Hmm.
wary of the use of AI products or services. But if you look at um, uh, the less wealthy nations and the developing economies, they're more excited about it. And even one of the presentations at SMR as well pointed out the split. Like I think it was 54% were excited about AI uses in its products, and 52% were nervous about it. So
Hmm.
even though there's there's disparity about if you put all the different countries together and see how attitudes are. There's also this, if you look at the world on aggregate globally, it seems like there's this
Yeah.
nervousness. So I think people are going to need to figure out what these global shifts mean for them, if it means anything. And from my view, at least, in my personal journey, at least, or my professional journey, I've seen the shifts of, I guess, the dot-com boom, the globalization, people, the pandemic, the generative AI,
Yeah.
So it's I guess it's all accumulation.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Yeah. What in terms you mentioned, something around AI, and I think some of the concerns folks have is actually with privacy, right? I think there's data leakage and where does my data go, and sort of this uncertainty black box situation. What do you're a part of the International Association of Privacy Professionals, so it's, I mean, probably, I'm sure this has been brought up, I'm guessing, in some of that. What in terms of like the privacy profession and the privacy, like how does that relate to market research, data and analytics and insights? And is that why you're kind of on that board? Because of the two are closely related, especially with data privacy and so forth. So maybe speak a little bit to that if you could.
Yeah. So I mean, it was a lot more exciting than I knew. I mean, it's not just about the I guess the the profitability of this industry, which there is. I mean, there's high attractiveness there. If you analyze salaries, or if you analyze the cost of certain incidents, and I mean that's a very that's not a good way of looking at it, but it's a welcome home. I honestly find it a welcome home, and I've just been so glad to be able to create and conduct discussions about it as well, because it's a booming profession. So again, it's starting new, relatively new, and it's, and anyone with lots of AI governance expertise, data and insights expertise, and can really leverage their strengths in this field, because all this is really the future of good data leadership, being able to understand what the principles of privacy are, being privacy aware, because you're adding more value to business by protecting your business from threats, risks, and
Yeah.
vulnerabilities. So for example, there's two main points that stuck out for me, is or that are, I guess, relevant here, is that there was, like Pew Center says, that Americans are largely concerned or confused about the government's or companies' use of their data, which and of course it skews more towards companies, as always expected. But so that I think that's about 81%, and for people being confused about what the government is doing with the data, that's similar proportions, actually 77% in the States. But so as we're doing more business online, which all of us are, the industry is doing more business online, especially post the pandemic. I mean, we need to know how to adhere to these privacy regulations, old and evolving, and new as they update. And it becomes critical for our customers and our stakeholders to keep them on the right side. In Canada, for instance, the data points are similar, but so the Office of the Privacy Commissioner, which is the regulatory body, their study reported that about close to 9 in 10, so about 87% of Canadians are at least somewhat concerned about how companies and organizations use their data and to make decisions about them. So whether it's hiring, whether it's health claims, insurance, or health coverage insurance, and about 3/4 of Canadians have taken some action to protect their privacy settings on our social media account. And similarly along this way, there's a lot of great information out there, and the reason for not reading a privacy policy is probably similar to the reason for not taking a survey. It's too long, and that's what I think 46% of people don't read the privacy policy because it's too long. So we have a lot of work to do in terms of distilling all that good knowledge into a better consumable formats, but we need to make sure that privacy has a leadership seat at the table, and because this really opens up a lot of opportunity for organizations to upskill, reskill, create new jobs, and reward people and protect them from risks and threats, as we're facing these more as the emitting and using more and more data for all kinds of reasons. So personally, I'm really glad to serve on this board, because it helps me stay clued in on developments in this space. So for example, recently the OPC, which is again a regulatory body here, privacy regulator, they issued new guidelines on workplace privacy and young privacy guidance on youth doing youth privacy. So, and also more recently, draft guidance on how to on biometrics for
Yep, makes
public and
sense.
private sectors, and that's going to really help us as researchers, because we know this is the first year. We know that SMR came out with that report, the Global Risk Board report, and this is the first year that technology-enabled research eclipsed established research methods. I think about 39% and 36%. So that's really going to help us need to be more familiar with understanding these technologies, what data they're collecting, and what rules to comply with, and hire and train professionals who are actually savvy and who can evaluate AI and different types of technologies, and curate and implement strategies that help them translate all this, what can seem an endless regulatory jargon, but translate all of that into information that can be consumed by the rest of the organization, and actually help them stay up to date and be on the right side of the law. And for data analytics and insights professionals as us, this such knowledge is increasingly important, because if we want to stay ahead of AI literacy and everything, and grow trust in our credibility methods and data insights analytics, we need to really assure our data subjects and our research participants that their protection and safety is paramount to our business and social interests. So
yeah, no, I think it makes a ton of sense. The two are very closely related, especially with GDPR and all these other regulations and so forth, and then even with AI and where that's headed, and people want to know sort of where's my data and the privacy and all of these things. So it all makes sense. Well, hey, thanks so much for joining today and sharing all your insights. If people want to know more, go to generation1.ca. Arundati is also on LinkedIn, on Twitter. She's all over the place. And if you're here next week for our X Day event, she'll also be attending that. So great. Well, Arundati, thanks so much for joining us today, and we'll catch you next time.
okay, thank you so much. Nice.
All right, thank you.